Watch your language.
I'm sorry. I'm not married. So if I'm dating someone and it gets to that point, then that's where it gets to. And if we don't work out, then I'm back in the pool again. Like, that's literally all it is. And when I get married, it's not going to be like, oh gosh, I don't know how to stay faithful to my husband because I've just been so undisciplined. It's very much so, okay, well, I'm married now. Like, there's no one else to have sex with because I have found my husband. You know, and so
okay, Eugenia.
It's as simple as that. I don't think it's not always, you know, she's a hoe, she's a exotic dancer, you know, she's drinking, and it's literally just for a lot of women, for women who are okay, women who just are dating and are enjoying our sexuality and enjoying our womanhood. It's just because it's enjoyable.
I'm on a journey to discover, uncover, and recover love.
Life is about helping others. Dear Future Wifey has been doing exactly that.
You stated that women are to present and not to pursue.
It has given us a roadmap on how relationships were meant to be by God.
There are still Black men who love the Lord and their end goal is marriage.
Thank you for teaching me how to stay lit, how to be intentional and transparent.
You read your letter, I cried.
I just got married 2 months ago, and I'm listening to the podcast so I can stay married.
I'm Lateris R. Whitfield, and this is Season 4, These Dating Streets, on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Lateris R. Whitfield. Listen, this is the year of 2022. This is a powerful number. And the more we go on with the podcast, we'll be dropping gems and letting you know the power of the number 2. Hey, but before we get started, are you still shacking up with us? Come on, if you're still shacking up with us, why don't you just go ahead, do something new, make a New Year's resolution and subscribe. Make a commitment and subscribe. We're on the road to 100K subscribers, and we need everyone to do their part. I want to make sure that we hit 100K by April the 15th, which will be our 2-year anniversary. Can you believe that we've been on this healing journey for almost 2 years now, and God has been doing some amazing things. Well, I have a special guest on the podcast today. As y'all know, the people I choose on my podcast is extremely intentional. And after this reel that I posted, I just started posting reels about a week ago, and I posted this one reel from the episode that I did with Isaac and Courtney, where I said that a woman's past doesn't bother me as much. I'm not intimidated by her body count. And this young lady decided to voice her opinion about it, and it caused quite a stir. So without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. My new homie, Eugenia Washington. Eugenia. Oh, Lord. So you always starting stuff, huh?
Apparently I do. I do be starting stuff, I guess.
So what made you respond to that reel the way that you did, actually?
Okay, so what I said was, what you said was, even if she has 25 to 35 bodies, it wouldn't matter to me. And right. I said, actually, if we're adults, 25 to 35 is pretty low. And I responded to that because I felt that the idea of a woman's body count is this like this fantasy, this fantastical just idea of, you know, when she gets with me, I'm the only, first, last, and only. And like that number of 25 to 35 you mentioning, I felt that this is how my brain worked. Okay. I felt that a lot of men would use that as a marker of what determines the value of a woman. If a woman has 25, that's a lot. And I needed to say that's not a lot. That's normal human behavior. Just so everybody in this comment section, everybody watching this clip knows that 25 people are sex partners for a woman is not a lot. That's why.
What do you feel that? So how do you feel about women that are virgins as a adult or whatnot, that may be your age and has never experienced sex at all? Do you look at her as being, oh, she hasn't truly experienced life?
I feel like if that is the road she wants to be on for her, then that's okay. I
Good.
remember growing up in the church, Baptist church. My family's from the South, and we were taught to save ourselves for marriage. Women, save yourselves for marriage. And
Right.
my best friend got a promise ring, and there was this whole ceremony of save yourself for marriage for your husband. And ever since I was little, like I drank that Kool-Aid. But I remember when I grew up, I started feeling, and I had my own feelings that weren't determined by the church.
Right.
As a human being, as a woman growing into her own, I had my own feelings, and I was like, why am I waiting? Like I feel like doing this right now. Why am I waiting? What's the point? And I don't even know when I'm gonna get married, because why? And so for me to get out of that ideology, I was like, I'm tired of waiting. Where'd you go?
No, I mean, he's going to be cutting in between different shots.
I was like, this is so weird. I'm talking to myself.
No, you're not.
I was like, for me, I just didn't feel the need to wait anymore. So I became my own woman and made my own decisions. But if someone else wants to wait until marriage, that's what they have to do.
So when you look at it, when you think about your first sexual experience, and and if you want to share the age, then you can. If not, again, that's none of my business. But I want to know the mindset behind it. When you decide to give up your virginity, what did you feel? Did you feel remorseful afterwards? Did you feel like, oh, well, this is great. This was a great experience. Speak on that, because when we talk about body count, then we're talking about I'll get deeper into that as we go along. But what was your experience? How did you feel about it?
So I was 19 and I was dating this guy for a while, maybe a year or so. I was 19 and we've done, when you're younger and you're doing a lot of heavy petting and stuff, and we've done that, a lot of heavy petting. And then one day I was like, I'm bored with this. Let's take it there.
So you became the initiator.
Yeah, I was like, well, this is like, how long are we going to do all this? Like, how long are we going to do this rubbing?
All this dry humping. We're going to just keep dry humping.
How long, And I was like, well, let's see what this is about. And he was also a virgin as well, because a lot of men don't have as much sex as they like to say. He was a virgin as well. And, we kind of experimented and did the do. And it was just kind of like, okay. And I remember driving home and I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad, because in the church they trick you and they say you're gonna break your hymen and it's gonna hurt and it's gonna be terrible. They scare you about sex. And I was just like, oh, well, that wasn't, okay. I didn't have a feeling bad or good. I was just like, well, that was that. And I assume that it gets better from what I've seen on TV. So let's work on making it better then. I didn't feel remorse.
And so the mindset you had from 19, you had zero remorse about it. You felt like the church basically bamboozled you into thinking that it was a negative thing. And when you found out for yourself, it wasn't as bad as the church led you to believe. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I just didn't understand why it was such a terrible thing, especially if I was having these feelings, especially if my body was doing these things and desiring these things. Why was it such a bad thing? And why it didn't make logical sense to me why I had to spend the rest of my life fighting these natural urges that my body is having, especially if I'm with someone that I care about and am attracted to.
So when you find the journey of your dating journey, did you ever put it like this? Let me ask you, do you want to be married?
Yeah.
When you were young, at 19 years old, did you believe that the guy that you gave your virginity to would be your husband, or you
Absolutely
didn't even
not. No.
You said, absolutely not. I know this wasn't gonna be my husband. All right. Was there any guy along in your sexual past that you believe was going to be your husband?
No, because I have to think about this, you know.
I know it. This is good.
Uh,
Because the whole premise of waiting is waiting for a reason, and the waiting for the reason is when you get married. So if you never felt like anybody was going to ever be your the persons that you had sex with was never going to be your mate, then of course there was nothing at stake, because it wasn't something that was long term. It was something temporal. So I want to make sure that I understand your frame of thinking as to why.
my frame of thinking is I live for myself. Like, I'm in my body. This is
Right.
my journey. I'm here for me. You know,
Right.
I don't think about what men feel about me on a daily. I don't.
No, this not about men. I'm talking about you.
or marriage or church or anything.
I'm talking about you. All I want to know about how you think. Did you feel like any guy that you were dating in that time that they were husband prospects? Did you ever say, "Oh my God, I love him. I'm in love with him. I want to marry him"?
Okay, so there was one that I really, really cared about. And we actually did not have sex. Honestly, we didn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we didn't. We
That's
didn't.
deep. Now that's a turn of events.
We were not in the same state, and it just didn't happen like that. But I will say I was in a relationship after the first person that I had sex with, and that was a 6-year relationship.
6 years.
Yeah, but that was not probably, that was the most toxic situation that I've ever been in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that affected me in a way that I did not respect or trust.
Let's unpack this.
It's unpacked. I'm trying to figure out how I want to say it. It was in a way that I did not respect how could I say this?
That's good.
It reinforced the idea that I couldn't respect what the church and what we were taught about marriage. I couldn't respect it anymore.
Why? What about that relationship gave you that ideology?
Because I tried as hard as I could, and nothing I did made anything work.
Were you dealing with someone that was a Christian man that had Christian morals and values, or you just, so this was a Christian man that you were dealing
morals and values from his mouth, as far as he can spew Bible verses.
Right.
But his heart was black.
Exactly.
The way he felt about women and himself was very black. And the way he handled our relationship was very dark. So the Christian morals and values only happened when he was spewing into me to try to get me to do things.
Right.
But he didn't have them for himself.
Good.
So for me, everything was like a lie. I was like, this whole thing is a lie. What I've been taught, what people are preaching, what everybody's saying is a lie. And I have to figure out what life means for me and for myself. And I have to do things that work for me.
So Eugenia,
put me on a path to do things that work for me.
So Eugenia, that's interesting. What made you base what you were taught on this toxic individual? So you allowed this toxic individual to reshape your ideology of what is essentially right. Like if you met a guy that was true to what he said, that honored you, that respected you, that valued you, that prayed over you, that covered you, that protected you, and wasn't toxic, then that would validate everything that you were taught to be right. But then in reverse, you met a guy that manipulated you, that deceived you, that took advantage of you, that was toxic. And then that shaped your ideology to believe that what you were taught was wrong. And so what I want to say to you, and this is a reason why I have you on this podcast, is because I noticed all these guys that, and it was infuriating me. And I'm gonna read some of these comments, because under your post, a lot of guys began to attack you, and they started spewing out so much derogatory language and toxic masculinity that it pissed me off, to be honest with you. And I DM'd you, and I was like, oh my God, like, would you like for me to just delete this? And you was like, hey, I'm used to it. If you want to delete it, just go ahead and delete it or whatever. And I said, and I was about to delete it. And it's like I heard the voice of God said, why erase it? Why run away from it? Take a moment and challenge these men to actually step up and apologize to her. And so I wanted to be a man that came to your defense and say, hey, brothers, let me just give you some frame of reference. Let me give you some understanding. I did an episode last season called, I think the season before last was called 1 in 5. And in that episode, we talked about, I had a good buddy of mine, Elsa, and she was sex trafficked and all this type of stuff. She had a very tumultuous past.
Terrible.
But 1 in 5 women have been victims of sexual assault. And so anytime I encounter a woman,
3 in 5.
Oh, it's 3 in 5. Well,
3 in 5.
Well, see, when I did my research, it was 1 in 5. It was 3 in 5.
That's a damn lie. It's a damn lie. It's 3 in 5.
Well, that's even worse. So that's what made me. This is what made me. I'm gonna read some of those comments, because this is what made me highly upset. And it's funny because you started going back late in the midnight hour with one guy, particularly.
Because it was fun. It's easy. It's easy to.
Is that your phone doing that? What is that?
I'm so sorry. You could hear that and all kinds of stuff.
So you put a comment 6 days ago. 25, 35 is a low number if we're grown, honestly. Oh my God, it's 154 comments under that comment. 154. Let me try to, God, dog, I'm trying to get to the top of it. This is ridiculous. This one guy says, honestly, I'll never marry a woman with such a high body count. It's a huge turnoff knowing your girl has been sucking hella block. Put the little fruit emoji thing, and got ran through by a whole football team. No, thank you. I'll pass. And then I asked him, I said, what's your limit? He said, coming from a Muslim country, ideally 0, but 2 to 3 would be fine. So I said, that makes sense, because now when I even said what I said, I forget that a lot of my followers, 30% are in other countries. And so, and this guy's not even a follower, but when you have a video that goes viral, it's touching everybody. And I said, oh, okay, I understand that he's been, I hate to say brainwashed, but he's been cultured into believing a woman's value is in her sexual history. Well, the truth be told, yes. If you're dating a woman that's just doesn't care, she's reckless, she's having sex with everybody that says hello to her, I believe that that's a deeper issue that needs to be addressed. But I will not, and what I was talking about is that I will not be intimidated by a woman's sexual past, because there's always a story behind it. There's a story, and I love hearing the story behind the choices. And so in women that I've met, girls I've dated, even my homegirls, I create a safe space where people are honest and tell me the truth. So what a lot of women do, they lie to guys. So my whole thing is, would you rather be lied to make your toxic masculinity more comfortable, where she says I've only had sex with 2 or 3 people, but she's really had sex with 53? You know what I'm saying? Like, would that make you feel better to be lied to? Or would you want to create a safe space for your woman to be honest with you? And clearly these guys like to be lied to. This guy said, kind of hard to value someone that so easily gives it up. Some girl responded, gives what up? Something that is so easily taken. why place so much value on that as if that's all a woman is? What about what she doesn't give up easily? What about those parts of her that can't be taken? Seems like a very superficial way to see someone. And that's my ideology. That's why I said I'm able to cultivate the woman. The version of her that I would get from her is a version that no man has ever gotten, because I understand that beyond those choices may be a bedrock of pain. It may be some experiences, somebody that mishandled her in the past, whether it may have not been something as traumatizing as rape or sexual assault, but it could be, she could have run into a lot of me's, a lot of my past me's. So the reality is this, even in my sexual journey, let's be transparent. I'm not a virgin. I've had sex with dozens of women.
Right.
So if she ran into a lot of Laterraces 2.0, then that means that her sexual number would be higher. And so these guys that are actually casually having sex with different people, they're having sex with somebody's daughter. So at the end of the day.
That's why it's blowing my mind, because I'm like, well, who are you having sex with then? If no women's having sex, then who is it that you are? Who are you having sex with?
And you made a comment, you was like, unless you like dudes or something. You said that.
Unless you like dudes. It's like, what is it? You know what I mean? It's like all these men are like, I'm out here, and I'm not a virgin, and they're all dapping each other about having sex with women, but women aren't allowed to have the sex back. So who are these people having sex with? That's why I can't even take anybody seriously. I can't. I'm asking this one dude who talks the loudest. I was like, well, dude, like, so you have to be a virgin. You can only be a virgin if you talk to me. And he couldn't even answer that. I was like, okay, so you're having these tingly feelings and you don't want to put your hands in your pants. Is that what it is? Like, tell me, because I need to understand like what these men are talking about. And let's really talk about dating out here. You see what it is. You see when people tell you who they are when they speak. You give a person a chance to speak and they say exactly who they are.
Right.
So in a woman's love journey, we are trying to find someone who is emotionally available, someone who makes us feel safe, someone who listens to us, someone who literally allows us to be who we are and feel safe in that, especially since a lot of women have been sexually assaulted or have been in toxic relationships. Because let's be honest, when a lot of men are finding who they are as men, they first think that who they are as men are how much they can control and dominate a woman. So a lot of men in their early 20s who are trying to figure out who they are, use that energy to find a woman to dominate. And that is a very toxic situation. So when a woman gets out of that, of course you had sex with that guy because you're dating him. You go to the next guy because we're still in our 20s. He's the same way, but you've also had sex with him too. That didn't work out. So you got to go to another guy because you're still on your marriage and love journey. And you know what I mean? It's like we're just out here dating. And then there might even be a guy that you're out and, he was cute. So you had a little one night stand. Cool. You go and you find, like, why are we acting like this is kindergarten? That's what I want to know. Like, this is not kindergarten. And if you've left your state, thank God, if you were able to leave your hometown and travel somewhere or move somewhere else, you're not going to say, well, I had sex with 2 people when I was in Texas and I live in LA now, so that's my limit. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? I'm just saying, get real. I'm the only honest one in this bitch, and that's why everybody's mad. You got to be honest with yourself before you can be honest with somebody else.
Oh God. Oh Lord. Well, just know I'm gonna have to bleep out your. I'm gonna have to bleep out your curse words.
Oh. On a Christian platform. Sorry.
It's not a Christian platform, but it is a Christ-centered platform.
And I love the Lord.
Yeah. He said, I love
He knows me.
Of course he knows you. He know me too. That's the reason why he allowed me to have this podcast, because he know I'm gonna keep it lit. And lit is coined on the podcast as living intentionally and transparently. So I love when I meet somebody like you that says, listen, here I am, naked and unashamed. This is who I am. I make no apologies. The only difference between you and other people is you're bold enough to speak your truth versus other people that hide from it. And so you're in a safe space. So this is what I said to the guys. I said, to my brothers who left disrespectful comments to Eugenia Washington, please open your mind and allow me to speak to the king in you. Hopefully you're able to receive this in love. I consider simply deleting the comments, but elected to vibrate higher. Did you know that 1 in 5 women have been victims of sexual assault? Imagine a female having her innocence stolen by a heartless male. Unfortunately, she never seeks therapy for the trauma, so she lives a life trying to regain her power by choosing to have sex with numerous males. She protects herself by making it transactional, by leaving her emotions on the shelf. Now imagine this particular female is your daughter. How would you handle her? Would you be another male who thinks lowly of her by spewing derogatory names at her? I hope not. This is my inner monologue when meeting any woman I consider this could have been her reality. That's why the body count is less of a concern, and her healing from it is what matters most. I don't know Eugenia Washington personally, so I don't know her story. It's none of my business. What is my business is her being attacked for sharing her truth on my page and being verbally assaulted by men, fellow brothers. If my comment has provided context for you gentlemen, I ask you to do some king level stuff and respond with an apology to Eugenia Washington. Be greater this year. And I tagged the names of the guys who were assaulting you. And of course, a couple of them just doubled down on their comment and said, hey, you said what?
Double down. Yeah.
They doubled down on it. Armani, bring her back on the screen. Doubled down on the comment and started talking about, well, I mean, if this is not, she didn't say that this was her story. She didn't say this was her journey. And I'm saying, idiot. Even if it was a journey, she's not going to say, hey, guess what? I was sexually assaulted when I was 8 years old. And that's why I think 25 to 35 men are okay. And I'm saying, no, the way you should handle any woman is by having that as the forethought in your mind and say, you know what, how am I dealing with her? What may be her journey, and then handle her accordingly. Because I've met a lot of females, a lot of my female friends have been victims of sexual assault. So I could traumatize them or reinforce trauma by saying certain stuff unbeknownst to me that's her story, and she may have had sex with 30 guys, and I'd be like, oh, I would never marry no woman with 30. She's an 8. She's this, and she's sitting there like, wow, my friend thinks like this. And if he ever knew the truth about me, he would look at me so disgusting. And I never want to be that dude. I always want to be the person that helps provide healing, whether it's males or females, people I interact with. I got a DM about 2 days before I read your comments, and this lady sent me a DM and she said, I saw that video, that little reel, and I broke down crying. And she said, I have been so ashamed of my past. And she said, I've been abstinent for 19 years and, healing from my past or whatever, waiting on my future husband. But she says, I feel so ashamed. And then I responded, I was like, why do you still feel ashamed if you've been able to manage abstinence for 19 years? And I'm waiting for her to respond. But the reality is, in spite of her achieving 19 years of abstinence, which absolutely blows my mind, she still felt shame from what she did prior to those 19 years. And so one thing that I understand about my heavenly Lord and Savior is that he says, cast all your cares on me because I care for you. Whatever issues that I've done, my bad choices, my mistakes, some stuff wasn't even a mistake. I did it intentionally. That when I gave it to him, he says, listen, I love you in spite of all that. Then how dare me be a man that is expecting God to gift me with one of his precious assets, which is one of his daughters, and trust me to cover her as a husband. And then I go, oh no, God, no, I don't want this one. She's been around too much. I don't want her. And God reminds me of my past and say, but what about you? What about you? You expect her to accept you for the sins of your past. Now, like, well, I'm a man. A man's supposed to do that. As men, we supposed to have all these. Like, oh, no. By what standard are you judging this by? Because by my standard, you was never supposed to do none of this to begin with. So now you want to go ahead and give yourself a pass. No. Keep that same energy. If you expect me to forgive you from your the sins of your past, then I need you to show that same level of grace for the person that I bring into your life. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that this video that went viral is saying, hey, every woman that you date and all this type of stuff, because most of these women, you're never going to know about their sexual history anyway until you get to this safe space with them. But the woman that God brings to you and says, this is your wife, then you have to, then I encourage, and I told guys, listen, I ain't telling you what to do. I'm saying this is me. I said, I'm not intimidated. Clearly you are, but I'm not intimidated. I'm saying that the woman that God brings into my life, I will not use her past and weaponize it against her. I will always say, baby, listen, it stops with me. The pain stops with me. And the truth be told, in the process of choosing said woman, I do want her to actually have been healed from that. It's not saying I want a woman that's fresh off of 25, 35 penises jumping out their bed into me. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying let's have some space of healing, and hopefully that she's gone through a healing journey when she comes to me, and then I'm the last layer of healing for her to say, baby, I love you. Come on, I get the 3.0 version of you. And so that's why it was so important to have you on here today to discuss this. So let's talk about your dating journey. Are you in a relationship now?
No, I'm not in a relationship now.
When's the last relationship you've been in? How long have you been?
Oh,
shit. Think about it.
No, I was just going to say, can I ask what's the intimidation that men feel?
What I believe, because I have to go back to my 20-year-old self. My 20-year-old self, when I used to think about the body count of a woman, there was never even a satisfactory body count. You know, if she said it was 2, you'd be like, 2? You had sex with 2 people? 2 people? What's wrong with you? Because that's because I was operating with such insecurity. I was so insecure. So as I evolved and got older, I said, what is the real issue? And as I begin to unpack what these men are saying, and I'm just judging by what they're saying and me giving reference to it, it's because a lot of them said, I don't want to go into a space where several guys in the room could say that they had my woman. You know, they don't want to be in a space to where people are like, oh yeah, I used to hit that. Oh yeah, man, she used to do this to me. Yeah, she used to do this or whatever. So it's a level of, and the Bible says that a woman is a crown upon her husband's head. It's a thing that a man finds value. If you can get a man to marry you, it's because a man has valued you over all these other women that may have just been sex partners with him, or people that he dated, or people, girlfriends or whatever. He says, I found the one. And it's interesting when we say the one. He found the one that he was willing to lay his life down for. Hopefully, if he's not a narcissistic dude that just got her to manipulate her. But when it's done from a healthy perspective, I choose her because this is the best. This is a person that I feel is the greatest choice I could ever make. And so when you have a man that becomes that vulnerable, when a man becomes that vulnerable, now he becomes a little territorial where he says, hold on, how many people have had my precious jewel? How many people have had my crown? How many people can say that they've had my woman in a way that I'm going to have her? And that's what makes them insecure. I see you shaking. That doesn't make sense to you?
Because it's is this a made up scenario? Because I don't really know what I'm saying is the scenario of we might be at Burger King and there could be a guy there that's 2 guys there that said they had sex with my wife. Like,
yeah, in real life, meaning that especially if you're in the same city. Well, I mean, I don't know. So I'm saying that in situations, I've dated girls
I don't think this has ever even happened before. I think this is all in a man's head to not even really understand his own insecurities. Because
I mean, it's happened depending, especially where you are. Like, just think about it. If you were on a college campus and you dated a girl that a lot of dudes done had sex with, well, you're going to be passing said guys on the college campus and they snickering and doing whatever, and they done had sex with your girlfriend. You may be at a workplace and if you decide to date on your job, and said woman may have had sex with different coworkers. Now you sitting up there knowing that you have to work alongside these people.
Does this really happen?
Yes, it really happens. We live in this vast world.
This doesn't even.
Yes,
really
it does happen.
Is there a girl at work that has had sex with 5 guys at the job?
No, it could be 2. It could be 1. It's not so much about the numbers. It's the fact of
so fragile that they cannot eat. So let's talk about that, because it's not about what I'm doing. It's that men are insecure within themselves and insecure with what they have and what and their stuff. Because you literally like then this just means that women can't have sex. That means nobody can have sex. This means that no one can have sex. That's what this means. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. There's not a time when I've known a lot of people. I've been around the world.
Yes, you have.
And I've never experienced a time where it's like, I'm at a party and 4 guys that I had sex with was there. Like, what?
There hasn't been one. Has it been one guy? Have you ever been with a guy and you crossed a dude in the mall, seen a guy on the train station, seen whatever, a guy, and ran into an ex or a past sexual partner? You tell me that's never happened in your life?
That happened.
Exactly.
But
So
that's normal life. That's normal life.
We understand that.
What's not normal is this idea that women are just having sex with 25 guys a month, and all the 25 guys are at the football game, and you're with your, like.
So Eugenia,
up here?
Eugenia, let me give you frame of reference. If we're just talking about numbers per se, if a person has sex with one person, the odds of running into that one person that your woman has had sex with may be slim to none. If she's had sex with 20 people, you're going to run into one of those 20 people somewhere in that year, typically.
Get over it.
And then you have 50 and then 100 and 200. Well, the more odds that you have, and it's the same with me because of my sexual history. The sexual history, you're going to run into somebody that I've had sex with in DFW Metroplex. This is where I was born and raised, and you're going to run into these people. So the woman that I marry will have to be secure in knowing that shouldn't be a fact. It should be like, oh, wow, shoot, who haven't you had sex with in Dallas? You know, it can't be that situation to be like, dang, well, you should see how many I've walked away from. But the reality is that if they judge you by your choices that you make and not honor the choices that you didn't make, that's the difference. And so when you talk about men, it's not that all 50 people are going to be in one environment. You sitting in church and the first 5 rows of the church are all the guys that you done had sex with. We're talking about the likelihood of other people being able to brag that they had your woman. That's what makes men.
Do they have their woman, or do they go on with their life though? Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying this is very much made up shit. Sorry.
It's not.
Because so men amongst each other brag. So then that's a man situation.
What's a man situation that's brought on by the decision that your woman may have made? Think about it. Just think realistically. If no one has ever driven your car, they can never say what it feels like to drive in a Maybach. But if they have driven everybody gets to drive your car and they be like, oh man, I done been through that. It's just, even as casual as that is, it hurts the male because he says, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but the reality is, but that's why I say it's bigger than that. When I put,
it seems to be the only thing.
What I put on it is, because I come from a Christian reference. So the frame of mind that I have is a Christian perspective. So that's where grace comes in. But if I wasn't a Christian man and I didn't have this ideology of grace, then I probably would have the same ideology that they had. Like, oh no, I'm finding somebody only been with 2 people. You know what I'm saying?
How did you find that? That's what I'm saying. Like, everyone needs to get real. Like,
well, I mean, you can.
Ideologies, I get it. But let's be real about it.
But Eugenia, there's a wide range of women. Some are virgins. I met women that are virgins at 40-something years old. I met women that only had sex with 2 people. I met women that had sex with, they can't even count. So you have a choice. And when you think about, there's 7 women to every 1 man, you can make a choice. You can say, all right. And that's what the guys are saying. So the truth of what they're saying under the comment is, I have the power to choose. So I am not going to choose someone that's had sex with that many people. And that's their choice. Me, that's not a big issue for me, because I go, I look at the purpose of that person. I look far beyond some past decisions. Because think about it. What if she made those choices 15 years ago? And she said, my 20s, let me tell you, I was an exotic dancer. I did this, I did that. I was strung out on drugs. I was this. And now she's this powerful, well-known speaker that's using the pain of her past to heal thousands of people around the world. And I'd be like, well, I don't care. Because when you was about 20 to 27, you was a little thought out there. And she's 45 years old. Like, am I really going to use that against her? Some guys would. That's not my testimony. So that's why I always say that it's different for me because I don't think like that. But I understand why guys think the way they do, because God created us to be very territorial. It's the instinct of a man. And so that's what it is. And so if he feels like you've been conquered by multiple men, then he like, oh, what is the prize? Heck, I had a woman tell me, it was an episode that I did on my vow to abstinence. I did a vow to abstinence on December the 30th of 2020. And on that episode, God reminded me of a girl who was a virgin. And this was my first Christian relationship. And she wanted to have sex with me. And I said, no, I want to have sex with you or whatnot. I want to respect your virginity. And she told me, she said, listen, I want to have sex with you. And I said, well, let's just wait if we get married and all that. She said, listen, let me just tell you something. Me waiting to have sex with you, you're getting someone that no one has had. But me waiting to have sex with you, I'm not getting nothing. I'm getting someone that everybody has had. Now, this is what she told me, and I was 19 years old. So what she told me is that my sexual experiences up to that point devalued me. So we're talking about a woman that said that to me, an 18-year-old girl that told me this, and I was like, wow, okay. I guess I don't have much value. So I had sex with her that night. And about less than 30 days later, I cheated on her. And she was the first girl I ever cheated on in my life. But then that opened up Pandora's box for me to devalue myself sexually. And so sexually, I was just like, whatever, you can get it. Hang around me long enough, you can get it. It ain't no big deal until I arrived at this point in 2020 when I took a vow to abstinence to be like, man, I want to value myself a whole lot more. I want to be a gift to my wife. I want to exemplify discipline in my life. And the reason why I needed discipline is because God told me, you'll never be faithful to your wife if you haven't first become faithful to me. And so I recognize within myself that I lack discipline. So it's not about the body count, it's about discipline. So for me, it was like, shoot, I could have casual sex with somebody, it's no big deal. You sit around me longer than 2 hours and something pop off, it's like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? It's no thing to it. And I said, man, do I really want to be that dude? Do I really want to be the dude that I didn't honor? And I didn't even know that I was dishonoring myself, to be honest with you. I was like, I'm having fun. I felt like doing something, so I chose to do it. And then I started recognizing how much it was tearing away at who I believed I was and how I felt. And when I found myself becoming exactly what I said I'll never become, which was in my first marriage, I said, I don't see how people get married and cheat on their spouse. I would never cheat on my spouse. And then I started cheating on her. I said, lack of discipline. So now I get a do-over. So in my do-over, I said, let's go ahead and kill this Goliath now. Let's go ahead and kill this demon that has followed me throughout these years where sex had no value. And now I say it does, because that's a divine connection that I'm having with another person. And I want that to be respected. I want that to be honored. I want that to be cherished. I want that to be valued. I want to create something with my future wife that is inseparable. And so that's why I do it. And I say to each his own. And so, for men, they're territorial. And that's what it is. And you say this about their insecurity, 100%.
I'll say a quick thing. Well, no, I don't have to nitpick. I can only speak for me.
100%.
I can only speak for me, the way I feel about sex, the way I have felt about sex in my life, the way I feel about my value. And I can say that for me, it wasn't about not having discipline. It's not about not having discipline. Having sex for me is not about not being disciplined. It's because I feel like it. It's literally because I feel like it. It's if say It's just because I feel like it. Like I'm not married. Like what the?
Watch your language.
I'm sorry. I'm not married. So if I'm dating someone and it gets to that point, then that's where it gets to. And if we don't work out, then I'm back in the pool again. Like, that's literally all it is. And when I get married, it's not going to be like, oh gosh, I don't know how to stay faithful to my husband because I've just been so undisciplined. It's very much so, okay, well, I'm married now. Like there's no one else to have sex with because I have found my husband. You know, so
okay, Eugenia.
It's as simple as that. I don't think it's not always, you know, she's a hoe, she's a exotic dancer, you know, she's drinking, and it's literally just for a lot of women, for women who are okay, women who just are dating and are enjoying our sexuality and enjoying our womanhood. It's just because it's enjoyable. You know, it doesn't have to be all of that. You know, I don't like the idea of just being in humanity, and all of this has these negative connotations. I would hate to be 90 years old and feel like I only had sex with 5 people in the entire world and then I die. That's just the way I think about it.
Well, hopefully, if you were 90 years old, you wouldn't be thinking about just the fact that you only had sex with 5 people.
Right. But I could say like, oh gosh, when I was in my 20s, I went to Paris and we had this crazy time and that was fun. And then, you know, that one time when I went and I was in New Orleans that one time and I had, you know what I mean? Like, this is our moment to live the life that we want to live. And I feel like there's so many rules and all of these restrictions that we can and cannot have, when honestly we're put on here to experience, live, and then we die. And that's what it is. So it's like, man, now is my time before I become a mother and responsible for someone else's life, before I become a wife and responsible for a whole entire like household and generation, before I really have to put all of these, before I really have to start getting serious. Now for me, you know, to enjoy my life and to develop my character and to live and learn. This is life school. How am I supposed to learn anything if I'm not experiencing something? Because I don't want some man that I don't know in 2 years to say, oh my God, she had sex with somebody in 2008, so I just can't. You know, like, I just want us to be honest and real about it. Because I don't even remember the person that I had sex with in 2011. I don't even remember who that was. So what, you know, what do I do about that? What does my future husband say I get married in 3 years? Why are we talking about something I did in 2011 that I don't even remember? What is the logic behind that? Because we are adults, you know? So it's like, I'm having my memories. I'm having my experiences. I got stories to tell my grandkids. I got pictures. I got all this fun stuff I'm going through until I get married.
So would you care about him? What if he said he was a porn star? Would you be okay with that?
I'm not attracted to porn stars. You know, so I would never even be in the same room with one to call him.
Well, hold on, because you may not know what he was before. He may have been an ex porn star. He changed. He's reformed, and you meet him. You start liking him.
Because you know,
huh?
We would never meet.
Yes, you would. You can't say that. You can't say how you gonna meet somebody.
I can't say that because you meet your people in your spaces that you're around. I'm not around ex porn stars.
You don't know what people's stories are.
Turn into like a CEO of something, then I'm like, oh, okay, hey. But no, I'm an ex-porn star, but now, you know, I own a t-shirt company and I'm just trying to like make it like, what do we have in common? How would I even meet you?
Eugenia, you don't know how some of these guys that you met have a story. They have a history. They have a past. And so in their past, they could have done some stuff. Done what they always say, done something strange to get a piece of change, and they say, "Listen, I just want to tell you something because, you know, this is what I used to do in my 20s." Then would you count him out? I just want to see how, you know, if you can keep the same energy. If he was the extreme version.
Entertainment industry,
huh?
I'm in the entertainment industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot. And I've seen a lot.
I know you have, especially in the modeling industry.
I've seen a lot. I know a lot about a lot of people, you know? And so maybe this conversation isn't as shocking to my system as it could be for somebody else.
Yeah. That's why I'm just asking you.
You know, there's a lot to dismiss because a lot of things have been going on. Say that. A lot has been going on.
Oh God.
And I will say this for the record, because there's this myth that this high value man would never. And I would say that the high value man and on 6 figures, you know the dialogue that's going on.
Yeah, that's going on. I saw a lot of them spewing that in the comments about you. So go ahead.
Figure high value man.
Yeah.
This magical man that no one's ever met. Except me.
So it's a myth that says a high value man that won't do what? What would they not do?
A high value man that's so afraid of sex and he wants this pure woman. These high value men are literally on trial for running sex rings. So that can't even be true.
Talk about it. I never thought about that perspective. I never thought about that.
I know all of these people.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Yep. This magical man that everyone's talking about. Let's be honest. All of the high value men that we're all talking about are on trial for Me Too.
Yep.
So who are we afraid of sex? No, we're not. It's all up and through this bitch. So it just takes a person to be honest about the world we're living in right now. Honest about it. And I'm honest about it, so it doesn't bother me. If I marry, say, a football player,